in the heart of Central Texas, it's the Best of the Outdoors podcast. Brought to you by Texas Fish and Game Magazine, the voice of the Texas outdoor nation and broadcasting worldwide. I'm so excited that you took the opportunity to join us today. I am your host, Dustin Vaughn Warnke, outdoor writer, videographer, speaker, blogger, and podcaster. Thank you so much for taking the opportunity to join us. And if you're streaming the show for the first time or downloading it for the first time, I invite you to subscribe to our podcast. And if you've not done so already, please leave us a review on iTunes or however you found our podcast. We're on Stitcher Radio, we're on FM Player, we're on iTunes, we're all over the place. And that would help us, help other people find the show and help us grow our audience a little bit. And that would mean a lot to us here at the magazine. So, we're back, and I apologize. I have not had a podcast out in a couple of weeks. I have been traveling to the NRA Show. I've been back for a couple of weeks now, and so I made a podcast go live. The one that I did previously, the solo podcast that I did previously on crossbows, went live the week that I left for the NRA Show, which is in kind of mid to late May, and I came back from the NRA Show, and I've just been running and gunning ever since I've been back from the show, and it's been a blast. So I've been meaning to get a podcast out for a while, and I'm doing another solo podcast today, so thank you so much for tuning in for that, and for taking the opportunity to join us. I really appreciate that. So, all that being said, I came back from the NRA Show, and I did a blog post this past week to the time that I posted this podcast. I did a blog post, and it's going to appear live on fishgame.com, which is the voice of the Texas outdoor nation, and can be seen anywhere in the world, and that is fishgame.com. That's going to appear this next week that we start out, the first full week of June. And that's going to be live, going live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for all three parts, 1, 2, and 3. I have all three parts live on my website, warnkeoutdoors.com, which is WARNCKE outdoors.com, if you know how to spell my last name by now. And you can check out all three of the parts of the series that I did, and I'll have everything on there for you to see and kind of check out the highlights of the show. So, what I try to do with the podcast and what I try to do with the blog, with the writing that I do from the NRA Show and from all the other shows that I go to, is I try to make, what we try to do at Texas Fish and Game is try to find what's kind of educational, what's kind of interesting, what's kind of unique, and those kind of things. And that's kind of what my focus has been for the NRA Show. Tons of guns, tons of all kinds of other things there. It's hard to explain what it's like being in a giant room with 70,000 people that support the Second Amendment rights. It's a really cool thing there. So to start off with, the highlights of the show were the gun range that they had set up. They had an air gun range, and it was probably, about 25 yards long, and they had range safety officers there from the NRA that were volunteers. And I went on Thursday because the show officially started on Friday through the weekend through Saturday and Sunday. And I officially started my kind of coverage and kind of experimenting with things when I showed up on Thursday to the show. And it was a crazy flight. Getting in and out of security is always a mess, coming out of Austin where I live, the Austin area. And so I got there. I barely missed my flight, or almost missed my flight by about 5 minutes, but I got there. And I was happy. It's funny the way the flight plan worked to get from here to Louisville, Kentucky, where the show was held this year. It's going to be held next year in Atlanta, Georgia, so hopefully that'll be a little bit less chaotic. But I had to fly from Austin to Chicago O'Hare Airport to get to Louisville, Kentucky, which, if you look at a map, makes no sense at all. But that all being said, to fly back, I had to fly from Louisville to North Carolina, to, I think, Charlotte, North Carolina was where I landed, and then caught a flight from Charlotte, North Carolina back to Austin, and it was a red-eye flight. I got home after midnight that night, and but man, what a show. It was an incredible show. I started out, like I started to say here, at the gun range on Thursday, and air gun range, and I got to shoot some of Umarex's awesome handguns. They're air handguns. They're basically powered by CO2 canisters, and I shot 3 of them. They have a Colt Peacemaker style, they've got a Browning, and they've got a Beretta style. And these look and feel like the real thing. They look like a full power handgun, but they operate like an air gun, and they work off of CO2. And when I say they operate like a handgun, the CO2 actually blows the slide back to rechamber the next round, and they're just an incredible gun. They're great for learning and training young shooters how to shoot a big handgun, and they're great for just general plinking and target practice, and there's so many cool things you can do with air guns, and I cover air guns a lot in the blog, and I'll cover air guns quite a bit in this podcast as well, because they are kind of the next generation of what we call guns, because there's so many innovations being made in that industry right now. And that's an exciting thing. The main thing that I enjoy about them is they're cheap to shoot, and I like to save money just like everybody else. I'm not a cheapskate by any means, but I like to save money because there's a lot of money you can, spend in the firearms industry or in the airgun industry on guns and ammo and all those other things. And it's nice when you find something that gives you practical practice and gives you good long-term, shooting skills, but not spending a ton of money doing it. And that's kind of the thing that I enjoyed about shooting the air guns from Umarex. They're just great. Their brochure, who I have, hold on, let me get it here, is they call it Air/Fire Firearms Inspired Air Pistols, and they're for convenient, affordable training. They look like real guns. They operate, like I said, like real guns, especially the semi-autos operate with blowback. The slide actually operates like it would on a real, firearm, but they're an air gun. And I just had a blast with them. So the saying that Umarex says is train more, shoot better. And I definitely recommend getting an Umarex pistol because they're just a great all-around gun. They're well made. The fit and finish is just like a real firearm, but they're an air gun. And I had a lot of fun. They carry the brands like brands of firearms that you're used to, like H&K, Beretta, Colt, Smith & Wesson, Walter, M&P from Smith & Wesson. So there's just some great things there. I'll put this back. But I just had a blast shooting those. I felt like I was a kid again. I love shooting air guns. I've never shot a lot of air gun pistols except for the Air Force Talon P, which I have, which is kind of a pistol, but it's more set up like a rifle. And I'll get into Air Force guns in just a second. But I just had a blast shooting those guns from Umarex. I spent quite a bit of time on that gun range before it got busy and crowded, before everybody kind of showed up, and had a blast doing that. So definitely check out Umarex air guns. They're a blast. They're a lot of fun. Other thing I noticed was Air Force Air Guns was there. I stopped by and visited with Yvette and John and Kiva and all my friends there at Air Force Air Guns. We've done a whole podcast on the Air Force Texan before, and we've also covered the Condor and the Talon and the Escape and all the other different air guns that they have. And they have just a great, really unique looking gun, and their air guns are just second to none. They're very, very, very high quality. The Texan is now, and I've mentioned this on this podcast before, the Texan is the world's most powerful production air gun, and it shoots a 45 caliber slug. It is also chambered in 308 and 357. That was new at SHOT Show this year, and they are just pushing the envelope on what can be done with an air gun. It's really exciting times to be able to see, the innovations that they're making with making a great air gun. And the Texan's a big bore air gun. Like I said, it's in 308, 357, or the general 45 caliber that they first started out with. The next thing I think that's going to come from Air Force is integrally suppressed, with like they have with some of their smaller 25 caliber and smaller air guns. I think that is one of the things we can see from Air Force next. And they're just a great gun to shoot. I have plans to go out this weekend, as a matter of fact, and shoot my Texan because it's a fantastic air gun, and I have a lot of fun with it. And I'm getting ready to go prepare for a hunt. My next gun hunt will be with an air gun with the Air Force Texan. I plan to go out to DB Hunting Ranch and take a shot at a hog with 45 caliber Texan. So I'm excited about that. Also ran into somebody that I met through LinkedIn a while back, and that was John Thompson. He is the owner of Ogre Manufacturing, and Ogre makes some really cool products. Their flagship product that I kind of think is their flagship in the firearms industry, because they make several products, is the EnviroClean FA. And it is basically a gun solvent that, and unlike most gun solvents, does not smell awful and does not get you kicked out of the house into the garage to clean your guns. That also is a good consideration with Ogre products, is with the EnviroClean FA, is that you don't end up making your gun smelly, which is important when you're trying to be scent free for deer hunting, especially. Hogs have a really good nose too, and a lot of solvents. If you don't clean them out right, if you don't take care of making sure you get the solvent out and get your gun oiled and everything, can make your gun smell bad. So the Ogre product is a very, very good gun cleaning product. It's great for black powder. If anybody shoots black powder out there, there's less mess, it's less smelling, and it's a great product. It really, really is a good working product. It is also environmentally safe, which you don't find with a lot of other gun solvents out there. So I use EnviroClean. I'm getting too excited here, and have a blast with everything that comes with the Ogre Manufacturing products. They also make some products called Dry as a Duck, and they make a boot oil. And the Dry as a Duck is kind of a water fast oil that you put on your boots or any kind of leather gear, and suede and those kind of things, and it makes them waterproof, which is really cool. I've done that with my boots with the products from Ogre, and I've also done the Here Fishy Fishy. I have a bottle of that I plan to use on my next fishing trip, and I'm excited about that because I have seen the pictures that John had at the NRA show of fish that he was catching, just huge fish that he was catching with this fish attractant that he has called Here Fishy Fishy, and but that's a good product to try out. He has a boot oil, like I said. He's got a great fish attractant. He's got some water fast products that you can use on your different gear that you have that you want to make waterproof or oil up and those kind of things, especially leather and those kind of things. So really enjoy working with Ogre Manufacturing. They're a small company. I try to get them as much press and as much media as I can because I really like that company. I really like what they're up to, and they really create some good products. So check out Ogre Manufacturing. You can find them on their website at ogremfg.com, and that is Ogre Manufacturing. You can check out his products. That's just really cool stuff that he's got. Okay, next up is the Crossman Airbow and the Bulldog and Centerpoint crossbows. These are all from the Crossman Company. And the Crossman Company is really pushing the envelope on what can be done in the archery and airgun world. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting about, I just wrote an article that I linked in the blog post that I wrote about the Benjamin Crossman Pioneer Airbow. And what it does is shoots a full-length arrow out of an airgun at about 450 feet per second. That's never been done before. The fastest and the most powerful crossbow that I'm aware of shoots at about 425 feet per second, and that is very fast. And a lot of the bow manufacturers for compound bows come out and are trying to push the envelope on getting speed. But, never before has an airgun been purposed to shoot an arrow the way that this one has. And I really think they're onto something. You can get 8 shots per fill. 8 arrows that you can get off in a fill of the air tank of the Benjamin Airbow, and I'm impressed. I mean, it's seeing it in person is even better than looking at it online and researching and writing about it. But I wrote an article that you can check out at fishgame.com about the Airbow and how it's such a game changer. That's what Jim Shockey calls it, as a game changer, and he's right. He shot a buffalo with it. It only took a couple of shots, and killed a big old buffalo with it. And as a hunting tool, it's great. Here in Texas, obviously, we have hogs, we have exotics, we have a lot of big game exotics, even up to African game exotics here in Texas that you can shoot with the Airbow, and it's just a great overall weapon for sure. Also, they have a big bore gun called the Bulldog. They had previously the Rogue, Benjamin Rogue, and that was a big bore. I believe that was a 357 air gun, and the Bulldog is the one that's kind of the next generation of that, and that's a good looking air gun. It's a bullpup style stock, and overall just a great looking gun. I'm looking at it right now on our blog post that I've got up, and just a good looking gun. It comes in camo, and the thing with the Airbow as well that I forgot to mention, you can put camo decals on it to kind of make it whatever you want it. That comes with camo decals. The Benjamin Bulldog already comes with some some camo features to it, and it's got a great scope on it. And Benjamin also makes their own ammunition for it, which is ballistic tipped, and it just looks awesome. And last thing on Crossman before I go to the next thing is Centerpoint crossbows. Centerpoint is their scope flagship brand for all their airgun scopes, and they've made a scope now to mount on a crossbow as well as a crossbow to mount it on. And their crossbow that I looked at and I took the most interest in was the Sniper 370, which has a price tag of right around $300 to $350. I've seen it in a couple of places and priced differently, but really, I'm big about crossbows. If you listen to the show, you know the last podcast about that, my solo podcast about the Centerpoint, just about the Barnett crossbows and that kind of stuff. But when I ran into the Centerpoint Precision Optics brand of crossbows, I was just really impressed with what they had to offer. I mean, they're really nice, compact, good-looking compound crossbows, and they're really built for speed. They're really built for great power, and they're really built at a good price point. Because, like I said, the one that I looked at, I think was right around $350. I think it's $349.99 to be exact. But, for something underneath $400, a quality product, I really think they did well with this and designing their own crossbows. They brought this to ATA from what Chip Honeycutt, the VP of sales, I believe, or VP of marketing. I forget what he does there, but he's a great guy, and he told me they went over really well at the ATA show this year. So I know I talk about crossbows a lot, but check out the line of Centerpoint crossbows. I really was impressed with what I saw at the NRA show from them. The Sniper 370 especially was the one that I was interested in. Then we go to STI Guns. This is a company that's right where I'm based out of, and they have they're basically a 1911 manufacturer. If you've never heard of STI Guns, you can look them up. They've got a website, stiguns.com. And they have a really high-end, precision-made 1911 platform that is just great. The build quality and overall fit and finish of their handguns was just really impressive. I really thought what they had to offer was good. Their 1911s are not the cheapest ones that you will find. A lot of them are in the $2,000 price range. But if you really want a high quality made handgun, they've got some really impressive products with STI Guns, so I highly recommend that you check them out. STIguns.com, and they've got a really good marketing director, Jens Crow. I've met with him a couple of times. I saw him at SHOT Show when I was first introduced to the company, and then met him at the NRA Show again and took a couple of pictures I've got on my blog right now. And wow, I mean, they're just good-looking guns. They really are. And precision-made and quality, and the fit and finish is unlike any 1911 you're going to find out there that's not a full custom job. And I'm really impressed with what they've done with STI Guns. So, okay. Or the second round of posts that I did here, I ran into AdCore Defense. That's ADCOR Defense. You can run into them. Let me pull up their website here. AdCoreDefense.com. That's ADCORDEFENSE. AdCoreDefense.com. They make a piston AR called the AdCore Elite. Their piston AR charging handle is ambidextrous, so you can go from one side of the gun or the other side of the gun, whether you're left-handed or right-handed. You still have the rear charging handle, but the cool thing about operating the gun from the fore end of it is that you have, another way to charge the gun or another way to operate the gun, in a setting if you can't get to the rear charging handle. And it's a very advanced AR-15 platform. It's not your typical AR-15. It looks like an AR-15, but it's not really a typical, version of the AR-15 rifle just because of the way the upper is built. And I'm going to cover black guns a little bit more in this podcast because I ran into some really cool innovations that are coming out. But AdCore Defense, I met with Manny, who's their marketing director, and really am impressed with this company. They really have some forward thinking, if you will. Their motto is charging forward, and that's the whole thing with the charging forward handle. But really impressed with what they do. They offer the AdCore Elite, I believe, in the following calibers: 5.56 by 45. That's 223 in the civilian round. 7.62 by 39, which is, you've watched into my videos, that's one of my favorite calibers. And then 300 Blackout, which is similar in a lot of ways to the 7.62 by 39. 39, but you can run it suppressed. And that's what a lot of folks do. It's a good full power centerfire rifle round. The 300 Blackout is very well suited for the 223 AR-15 or 5.56 AR-15 platform, because it can run in the same exact magazine as a 223 because it's built off of the 223 case. And that's impressive. So offering in those three calibers, the 5.56 or 223, the 7.62 by 39 or the 300 Blackout, they're onto something there. They've got some really cool stuff. Also ran into G2 Research. I ran into these guys from a press release because I work for Texas Fish and Game Magazine in the ad sales department. So I ran into the folks over there that make the G2 Research ammunition. And they make some really cool stuff. They have the Civic Duty RIP, which I forget what RIP stands for, but it's a really good performing ammunition, and then the Trident ammunition. And what brought me to them was the initial thing that I looked at was the Trident ammunition for the 7.62 by 39, which I own 2 SKSs. And anybody out there that owns an SKS or an AK-47, or even they make single shot 7.62 by 39s out there, it's a great round. It's a good hog hunting round. It's kind of an intermediate round, I should say, not intermediary, intermediate round. And that's a really good, obviously it was designed for war settings, but you can hunt with it as well. And I noticed it as being a good hunting round because of the expansion that you can see. And you can see the pictures on my website or on the fishgame.com website of the Civic Duty. I believe it's a 45 ACP round that they have, and it looks like a starfish. I mean, the way that it is expanded, the way that the round is designed is so it will expand better on contact, and it is a wonderful self-defense round from what I can see. I'm going to get a pack of these for my rifles and for my handguns, because I own a 9mm handgun now too that I can use, and they make it a 945, 357 SIG, those kind of semi-auto guns. But looking at the pictures that I took from the NRA show, holy smokes, the thing expands out like a starfish. I mean, it's just a really good high-performing round for self-defense and for hunting, because what you're looking for is that expansion for hunting, an expansion in self-defense round, and I certainly would hate to get hit by one. I mean, it is extremely devastating what the ammunition that they had on display that had been fired into ballistics gel or had been fired into whatever they fired it into for it to expand that way was just amazing. So G2 Research, they have a website, I believe, at g2rammo.com. That's g2rammo.com. And check them out. I'm really impressed with what I saw with the Civic Duty, the RIP, and the Trident ammunition that they had for rifles and handguns. Then moving right along to EOTech. I've been a big fan of this company since I first got my first EOTech holographic sight. They are now coming out with scopes, and they've come out with the Model 512, which is kind of their flagship product for a crossbow, the Model 512 X-Bow. And what they're doing is just innovative with holo sights. They build a lot of night vision compatible holographic sights. And the new thing that's coming out starting in September is going to be the EOTech scopes. And I'm excited about that, because to add magnification to holographic sight technology is really next generation stuff. I mean, it's really cool. And so I wrote about in the blog post that I did. I originally wrote an article on macandprowler.com. That's MACANDPROWLER, macandprowler.com, on the XPS3 sight that I received from EOTech many years ago. I guess it's been about 4 years ago now. EOTech had sent me one for an article that I was writing, and I was impressed. I mean, that was a great sight. I still own that. I have that on my SKS rifle that's built out. It's a Russian SKS rifle that I have built out to a tactical setup with a detachable, long, high capacity magazines. And it's a great sight. It's just a great tactical sight to use. But to think about using one for hunting, the scopes that they have now are called the Voodoo scopes, I believe. And I'm really impressed with the scopes. They've really got some good things. I got to look through a couple of them while I was there at the show. And then, I'm a big crossbow fan. The Model 512 crossbow, it actually has a range finding element into it. And works off of the same 512 technology, but it is built for a crossbow shooter in mind. And the reticle, it's hard to explain this on a podcast, but the reticle is very unique, and you can see what the reticle looks like at EOTech's website. But it's just a really impressive combination that they came up with for the crossbow. So EOTechInc.com is the website to get the EOTech products and check out the new scopes from them. I believe they're called the Voodoo scopes, and the really impressive overall things that they had as far as precision rifle scopes and holographic sights, and just everything that EOTech has to offer is just next generation. It is just really high tech and thinking forward thinking for the hunter and the shooter in mind. So EOTechInc.com is the website for EOTech, so you can check them out. And you can also check out on my blog at fishgame.com or at warnkyoutdoors.com. You can see the article that I wrote in 2012 on Mac and Prowler's website. So there's that. Then I also ran into Blue Force gear. I originally ran into these guys at SHOT Show because I received a press release about the Vickers sling that they have. And the particular one that I have, I'm getting ready to mount on my AR-15 again, which is blue to go along with it being Blue Force gear, is just a really incredible well-made sling, and they make great gear that's well-made. They make tactical gear such as pouches, chest rigs, belt pouches, molly pouches, just overall great tactical gear that you can use in a hunting situation, that you can use in a survival situation, that you can use in any kind of outdoor camping or hiking or anything like that you do. They really make some forward-thinking products as well, and that's what I'm trying to cover here on this podcast, is things that I think are unique to the industry, and Blue Gear does it very, very well. I met them at SHOT Show. Like I said, I got a press release. I have one of their slings now. I even got some of the hardware to mount it better on my AR-15, and that's what it's basically made for, is your kind of tactical rifles. But it goes well on a shotgun. It goes well on an AK. It goes well, obviously, on an AR-15 like I've got mine. You can check out Blue Force Gear at blueforcegear.com, all one word, and you can check out their different offerings. The Vickers sling is kind of their flagship product, and I'm a big fan of it, owning one. It's a very well-made sling, and I was really impressed with the fit and finish and everything owning one of those. And their hardware is just second to none. It is really good hardware. So that's what I ran into there, was Blue Force gear. Check them out. They have a cool picture I've got on the blog of a raptor that was wearing night vision goggles, like this full-size dinosaur raptor, wearing some Blue Force gear, and I thought that was really cool. So I took a picture of that and put that up on my blog. So I thought that was kind of funny. Moving on to part 3 of the blog. I ran into another sling company. Now, Vickers, sling by Blue Force Gear. Blue Force Gear obviously makes a ton of other gear and great things for your gun or for hunting, camping, so on and so forth. Recoil rifle slings I ran into at a distributor's booth and a retailer's booth, and I forget what booth it was, but they had some really cool products there, and I ran into Will Hawkins' parents. Will Hawkins is the originator of recoil rifle slings, which are parachute made or paracord made rifle slings, and they're very high quality. I own one on my AR-15. I did an article for Will Hawkins a couple of years ago, maybe it's been a few years ago now, when he first started this company in 2011. I think I wrote the article back in 2013, and I met his mom and dad, and they are great people, but they were supporting him and what he is making and showing off some of his slings. So I have a picture of his mom kind of modeling a couple of slings that are new this year, but they make some really awesome rifle slings out of parachute cord. So the joy of making a rifle sling with parachute cord is that you can have the strength of a parachute cord. You can have you can have so many different things that you can do with parachute cord. You can break it down, unwrap it, take it out, and use it in a survival situation for hundreds of different uses. If you just search Google or YouTube for different uses for parachute cord, there's tons of stuff out there. I wear paracord bracelets every day just because I like the way they look, and they fit and finish of a paracord bracelet is great. And then there's 7 feet of paracord on a parachute cord bracelet, that one like I'm wearing right now. on a gun sling, holy smokes, there's a lot of parachute cord, and you can do a lot of stuff with it. And the guarantee that Will first made when he originated the company back in 2011 was that if you have to have your sling rebuilt, if you have to take it apart to use it for a survival situation on the on the down low, if you are in a survival situation, they will actually rebuild the sling for you at no cost. Now, these are higher end slings. They're going to cost over $100 in a lot of cases, but they're very well made slings, and they're handmade by veterans, by U.S. military veterans. That's the most special part about that company, is the fact that they're actually handmade by U.S. veterans. They actually give veterans a job. They put veterans to work. And you know as well as I do, there are a lot of people that leave the military and cannot find gainful employment in the United States these days. These guys put veterans to work and don't turn anybody down that needs to find a job in the area that they're located, and really make a high quality parachute cord sling for emergency situations, and they just look cool too. They really look great. They come in 3 different sizes: the Diamondback Pro, the Viper 221, or the Big Mamba. And the Big Mamba, I saw an example of that one's built for like a 50 cal Barrett, or a really big rifle that shoots a really big bullet. And they're built for kind of heavy duty use. The one that I have, I believe, is a Diamondback Pro. And their intermediate sling is the Viper 221, and just really cool to see those guys and to see Will's mom and dad. And I saw them in passing at the show the following day on Sunday, and they said Will said to say hi. So I'm like, tell Will I said hi as well. And I'm a big fan of what he's doing. So their website I will give on this podcast is recoilrifleslings.com. And you can check out some pictures that I have on the blog. There's a lot of cool things going on there. So back to AR-15 platforms is the next company that I visited on Saturday of the show is Cobalt Kinetics. And Cobalt Kinetics makes an AR-15 platform unlike anything I've ever seen. Basically, and I got to experiment with one of the guns with dummy rounds, and it takes about 3 steps out of magazine changes. And the nice thing about that is the way that the Cobalt Kinetics platform works is that after you shoot your last round out of a magazine, the magazine automatically falls to the ground. And that last round is in the chamber for you to shoot or load another magazine behind that round. And you basically have, you basically keep on shooting. So I see a big use for that in a 3-gun competition. I see that as a big use in, I even wrote in the blog, hog hunting. If you need to change magazines, if you're in a helicopter, let's say, and doing a helicopter hog hunt here in Texas, or if you're, anywhere and you're trying to eradicate a bunch of swine, being able to change magazines quickly and get back to shooting is very important. And, I'm very pro what Cobalt Kinetics is doing. I see a hunting, use for their rifle and the way that they set up their AR-15 platform, but it's great. And the nice thing is, after you load the second magazine, and their newer models now, they have you basically slam the magazine home, and if the bolt is open, the bolt closes and loads your first round. So not only does it drop out after your magazine is empty and after you're on your last round, after you clear the gun and shoot your last round, put a new round in, it chambers the first round for you out of the new magazine. Great product. Again, lots of uses in 3-gun competitions, lots of uses in target training or anything like that. Obviously, there's a battle-proven, method here too for military and for police and those kind of situations like that. But I see as a civilian, there's a lot of good use for something like that as well. So Cobalt Kinetics, you can find them on the web at cobaltkinetics.com. Cobalt, just like the color, COBALT, kinetics.com. Yeah, so there you go. cobaltkinetics.com. There you go. All right. Also ran into a guy when I was downstairs having a beer the other day at the NRA show, that his name was Luke, and he is one of the territory reps from the Midwest for a company called Desert Tech. And Desert Tech basically is a company that manufactures a bolt-action style rifle that is modular. I've never seen anything like this, and these are about $5,000 rifles that you can order, and you can order them in a variety of different calibers. They go from 308 Winchester up to 338 Lapua, and you can do different things with them. But to change out a barrel in one of those, you can do that in about a minute. And anybody that's good at doing it, or anybody that owns one, can probably do it in a minute from what the guy showed me and told me. And I was impressed with this company. Desert Tech can be found at, let me make sure I've got their website right, deserttech.com. That's DESERTTECH.com. And they make several different models of their guns, but it's a bolt action, and the bolt is actually in the rear kind of buttstock area of the gun. The trigger and the handguard of it is kind of midway, or in the rear portion or midway portion of the rifle. And, overall, it's an incredible rifle for long-range shooting, for big game hunting, which we do a lot here in Texas. Just overall a great looking gun, and just an interesting looking gun. I've never seen anything like a Desert Tech rifle. And like I say, not a cheap gun either, about a $5,000 price point on this one. But I would definitely check one out. They're a really cool looking rifle, and especially good for long range shooting and big game hunting, and long range big game hunting if you're into that. So I really see a lot of cool stuff there. Now, running into the last company that I'm going to feature on this podcast, Daniel Defense. I'm doing a new gear release for them for Texas Fish and Game Magazine, which will be coming out in the future, and they did a couple of things. They have a magazine called the DD32, or the 32DD magazine, and it's a 32-round AR-15 magazine made from a light polymer that you can find. It's a lightweight, but it's really a strong build to this magazine. But it's the lightest AR magazine that I own, and I own a few of them. And most people that own AR own more than one magazine. And this is the most lightweight but strong, durable build of a magazine that I've ever held. But it's called the DD32, and just a really good magazine. It holds 2 extra rounds, because mainly with most 30-round AR-15 magazines, you run into the issue of running into, loading maybe 28 rounds, not even getting a full 30 rounds. So with this one, you can load 2 extra rounds. It's made of a really nice polymer. I believe it's called carbon fiber reinforced polymer. I'm looking at my blog post here. It's the lightest but the toughest AR magazine that I own for sure. So the DD32 from Daniel Defense. I believe this is the first magazine that they ever produced as well for their guns. So Daniel Defense is obviously pushing the envelope all the time in the AR-15 category. They make a really good AR-15 in 223, and now they're coming out with the Ambush, which is a AR-15 in 308, or more like an AR-10 platform in 308. And DD5V1, I believe, is another one of the guns they had on display at the show, and that's also in 7.62 by 51 millimeter. Or 308 Winchester, and overall a really good fit and finish to their rifles. They make great rifles chambered in 223, obviously 5.56 by 45, 300 blackout, and then their new Ambush rifle, like I said, is in 308 Winchester, and overall just great. I know I don't talk a ton of guns on this podcast, but I am today because it was a gun show. It was an NRA show, and there were a lot of guns there, and it was a lot of fun. So I wrote a summary about the show that I'll read to you real quick, and it says the following. I have written about the fact that we are in the golden age of the outdoor industry many times in the past, and I have. My goal on this trip to the NRA Show was with this blog series was to cover what was most important and unique this year. Competition between outdoor industry companies can be fierce, but the winners at the end of the day are you and I, the consumers. New strides are taken every year to come out with what's bigger and better, even something simply as something unique and practical that we have never seen before. My point is that just it all keeps getting better, and to stop reading for a second, it really all keeps getting better. We are in the golden age of firearms. We're in the golden age of archery. We're in the golden age of combining archery and air guns together with something like the airbow that shoots at 450 feet per second, There's so much that we are getting into now that has been very innovative and never seen before. And, there's a lot to complain about with politics. There's a lot to complain about with our society and everything that's going wrong. But I just take an opportunity here on this podcast and in my blog to say, stop looking at everything that's going wrong and look at everything that's going right. Look at how cool it is to live in the current life that we have. And enjoy all this stuff. Enjoy a 308 that subgroups at, sub MOA at, less than an inch at 100 yards, group. And, look at different things that we were never able to do before, not even 70 years ago, let alone 100 years ago with modern ammunition and firearms and accuracy and price point being affordable enough for us to be able to do some things like that, There's so much to be grateful for is what my point is in this podcast. So again, look at life as this is the golden age of where we are in firearms, and this is the golden age of where we are in archery and everything that we do in hunting and the hunting gear that we take with us and the shooting gear that we take with us to the gun range. It is made more durable and made to built to last a lifetime for not even our generation, but the next generation. And, to pass it down from one generation to another, whether it be a firearm or whether it be gear or whatever the case may be, everything is so well made these days, and it's really something that I stop and take and thank God for, and something that I stop and just take notice of in all the things that we do is that, things are really good right now, and they continue to get better, and we should be thankful for that and enjoy the outdoors like we've never enjoyed them before, because it just keeps getting better and better. So, I want to thank you so much for listening. This has been a little bit longer podcast than I anticipated, but once I start talking, I just can't stop. And I'm excited about being back on the airways with you guys again. And thank you for downloading or streaming the show. And whatever you do, however you listen to the show, just please subscribe if you wouldn't mind. And that will get you new shows every time that we do. It's absolutely free to come on the show and to listen to the show. There's no cost for any of my content on the Best of the Outdoors podcast, and I'm going to keep it that way. So we can kind of have an opportunity to share with each other different things and have fun with the outdoors. So thank you so much again for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show today, and have an awesome day in the outdoors.